Hello, my name is Kevin J. Moore and I'm going to talk about an interview segment on GB News channel. The host is Lawrence Fox, who handled the situation with outstanding equanimity. When you see the clip and what Lawrence had to endure, you'll understand or fully appreciate why I say that. So let's have a look at the introduction to the segment from GB News.
A row has erupted over Jeremy Evil Clarkson's column in The Sun about Meghan Markle at the weekend. The Grand Tour presenter compared the Duchess of Sussex to serial killer Rose West, something that even I think is a bit of an overreaction, and that he dreams of people throwing excrement at her. I think it's sort of Game of Thrones thing, but I've never seen Game of Thrones, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, Jezza has since issued a statement, not an apology, I must emphasise, in which he said he was horrified to cause so much hurt and would be more careful in future.
That's the introduction to the segment on GB News dealing with, in my view, the despicable news column written by Jeremy Clarkson about Meghan Markle. GB News presenter Lawrence Fox doesn't seem particularly perturbed by it. He even sarcastically calls Clarkson Jeremy Evil Clarkson in the introduction to the piece. He's conversed with Dr Tessa Dunlop and straight away she's on the attack. His nonchalant attitude appears to rile her. Let's have a look at some more of the video.
Well, with me to discuss this free speech debate is Tessa Dunlop, historian, broadcaster and author of the new book, Elizabeth and Philip. Tessa, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
I get the feeling that you're going to interrogate me here.
No, I was just disappointed with a tweet that I felt rather clumsily popped out, suggesting that on the one hand, yes, Jeremy Clarkson's comments were misogynist and rather unpleasant, but on the other hand, and here you abused history, you were going to defend his right to freedom of speech. It was the altar you were prepared to die on, and you reminded us with a sort of, jackboot analogy that 60 to 100 million people had died in the Second World War to protect our freedoms of speech.
Not the Second World War.
Well, in the last century.
No. The 60 to 100 million I was referring to were the corpses laid at the feet of the Marxists who controlled and compelled speech and turned people into group thinkers.
Right.
So you missed the point of my tweet.
I missed it. Well, indeed. Well, then you must craft your tweets.
Anyway, let's leave my tweets alone, and you tell me why this is dreadful.
Evidently, from the beginning of the conversation, Lawrence could sense that she was riled. That's maybe why he said, "I get the feeling you're going to interrogate me here." Dr. Dunlop gave her erroneous understanding of his tweet. When he explained the tweet, she didn't apologise for a misrepresentation. Neither did she apologise for castigating him for something he didn't do. Remember, it's not something that he wrote that she was arguing against as she castigated him regarding his tweet. She was, in a sense, strawmanning him as she was arguing with him about something she thought he wrote, not what he actually wrote. When she took a breath and he had a chance to explain, she didn't say, You're right, I misunderstood, I'm sorry. Far from it, she showed her true colours. She acknowledged she missed the point of his tweet, then blamed him, saying,
well, then you must craft your tweets.
Anyway,
so she switched it. So it's all his fault that she didn't comprehend, rather than her fault for not cogitating. Cogitating is very important. Let's have a look at some more of the video.
Well, it's extraordinary that someone like you, with such a fine public school education, is lumbering under the misconception that we have complete freedom of speech. If I was a paedophile or a terrorist or a fascist, you wouldn't be platforming me right now. If I was inciting hatred against a different race or religion or someone of transgender or disability, I would not be platformed. That would be illegal. So it's a nonsense to suggest we have to let everyone spew out filth and poison left, right and centre, especially men with disproportionately large platforms. And let me tell you, dear Loza, there's an awful lot of you.
Lawrence asked the question, he said, "You tell me why this is dreadful," referring to the Clarkson news column in The Sun. Rather than answer the question, she throws insults at the presenter as he calmly allows her to dismantle herself. As a a slang term on the internet, used often on the internet, where people say somebody was owned, and that usually means they were humiliated or made to look a fool. But in this case, Dr. Dunlop owned herself, didn't she? She mentioned sarcastically where he was educated, didn't she? And she described him as lumbering under the misconception that we have complete freedom of speech. That is a completely ridiculous accusation to make against him now. And because the petulant Dr. Dunlop is in full flow, he can't get a word in edgeways at this point. Plus, he's very polite. He's a very polite Englishman, isn't he? Allowing her feverish rant to continue. She mentions terrorists, paedophiles, and fascists. Then she says to Lawrence, if she belonged to one of those groups, she says, you wouldn't be platforming me right now. She said it's a nonsense to suggest we have to let everyone spew out filth and poison left, right, and centre, implying that's what he thinks society should do. She's telling him what he thinks. She's not asking him. Especially men with disproportionately large platforms, and she leans in towards him to make it clear she's referring to him. She then states, and let me tell you, dear Lothar, there's an awful lot of you. That's what she says. She's not happy that he's got a large platform, but she needs to ask the question, why has he got a large platform? It's really not a difficult question to answer, is it? You see, I've not been forced to watch Lawrence Fox's news item or interview on GB News. He's not forced anybody to watch it. See, people choose to watch him in a free democratic society. We can make a choice as to what we want to watch. And people have made a choice that they want to watch GB News and they want to watch people like Lawrence Fox. The people, of course, that don't want to watch him don't have to. But the point is, he's got a large platform because people do want to watch him. See, he's got charisma, hasn't he? He talks a lot of sense, believes that people can relate to that. It doesn't, of course, mean they agree with everything he says, but the point is he connects with his audience. Personally, I found many of his views to be reasonable. Unlike the lady who was attacking him and repeatedly strawmanning him. Let's watch some more of the video.
I find it acceptable, and I think what you did was disingenuous.
Remember the question that preceded the rant. You tell me why this is dreadful, referring to the Clarkson column in The Sun. So she's still not adequately answered that question. She just keeps making personal attacks against the host, who graciously has given her airtime. Let's see what Lawrence Fox says in response to Dr. Dunlop calling him disingenuous.
Well, I condemned the way he spoke and then defended his right to free speech.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
It was almost like saying, you know, let's pat him on the head and put him back in his box, except his box
That's not what I said.
But it is what you said.
No, that's how you felt about what I said. What I actually said was, look, and you're looking at someone who really doesn't like Meghan Markle and doesn't like that spoiled.
Oh no, let's not go back to I can't hear another thin-skinned, slightly aging white man be demeaning about Meghan Markle.
So once again, she's interrupting, not waiting for him to finish, putting words in his mouth. But he politely corrected her, saying, that's not what I said. It's reminiscent of the Jordan Peterson Catherine Newman interview. Minutes later, she interrupts him again, calling him a thin-skinned, slightly aging white man, which of course is a racist attack. Technically, he could report to the police for a hate crime, and he's got the video evidence to prove it should he wish to take it to court. Now let's watch a little bit more of the video.
Not when we've just gone global with one of our leading celebrities wanting to throw excrement at her when she's naked paraded down the street.
I completely agree with you. I think we're agreeing. So let's try and find somewhere where
Well, no, I can tell you we're not agreeing.
Well, no, I'm agreeing with you that what he said was something I would see as being well above and beyond what I think free speech is there for. But I would ask you the question, do you think that the opposite of that, denying him the right to be so crude and disgusting and misogynistic, is better?
It is currently illegal to stir up hatred against, and I gave you some of the categories, race, religion, disability, sexual orientation. I would like gender to be one of those categories.
What is gender?
There was my gender as a woman, my sex. I want it to be better protected.
But I'm confused. What's gender? You're a woman.
I'm a woman.
Yeah.
If you are... And Jeremy Clarkson, the way he wrote that article, he was very clever. He knows you can't stir up hatred against Meghan Markle on the basis of her race. But she was posited throughout that article very much on the basis of her femininity. She had, to use Donald Trump's expression, whipped her husband, Harold Markle, into his subservient position. She'd basically brainwashed him, but he hated her more than he compared her to two other women, to Nicola Sturgeon and to the murderer, Rose West. So this was about Meghan Markle's femininity. He then asked us to imagine her naked. So he wants to take a woman and us to imagine her naked, and he then wants to shame her and parade her down the street and throw excrement at her. That is hatred towards women.
I don't think it's hatred towards women, as Dr Dunlop claims. It's hatred towards the woman or women he named, in particular Meghan Markle. I'll give you an example. If I said I don't like Madeira cake, and somebody said you don't like all cakes, I said no, I didn't say I don't like all cakes, I just don't like Madeira cake. And that's only an example because actually I do like Madeira cake, but you get the point. So what Clarkson wrote, as I mentioned in my view, is despicable. Or as Nicola Sturgeon stated, it was beyond the pale. Nicola Sturgeon had the decorum and dignity to say she pities Clarkson, even though he made vile comments directed at her. And unlike the rambling, impolite Dr Dunlop, Nicola Sturgeon gave an excellent reasoned response to the vile vitriol Clarkson wrote in his column, directed primarily at Meghan Markle. So personally, I don't think Clarkson hates women. He's got two daughters and obviously doesn't hate his daughters. And as far as I'm aware, his daughters are women. Now let's have a look at the next section of the video.
And I don't think that's acceptable.
Look, I agree with you.
Yes, so let's change the law.
No.
Yes.
No, that's where I don't agree with you.
Why not change the law?
Because I don't think it's illegal to hate people.
But do you know, the problem is, what happens otherwise is big bears like you, Jeremy Clarkson, Piers Morgan...
Hang on a minute,
No, because actually, on this occasion, you've said, whoa, I wouldn't even say that. But generally, you like to poke with a stick. You go as far as you can. You push the right-wing envelope. And as I've explained, you men, Nigel Farage, Dan Wootton, have disproportionately large platforms. You get little me's on, a doctor incidentally, but nonetheless just a little woman, on, and you bear bait us for clicks. Clickety-click, clickety-click. And actually, Jeremy Clarkson will be emboldened by this, and I want to stop it.
She doesn't have a conversation with him. She just keeps interrupting and talking over him repeatedly, not letting him finish the points he wants to make. She's extremely disrespectful toward him. She called him a big bear. She's not being complimentary when she says he pushes the right-wing envelope. Then she says we should change the law. People like that always want to change the laws, don't they? Always advocating for more restrictions on people's already dwindling freedoms. Then she calls herself just a little woman and implies that's Lawrence's view of her. A miserable attempt to paint herself as a victim, despite having a privileged background. She said, "You bear bait us, click, 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 click." Lawrence just shakes his head and smiles disarmingly. The man's got the patience of a saint. Toward the end of the video, she starts to become unhinged and very upset. And actually, Jeremy Clarkson will be emboldened by this, and I wanted to stop. Lawrence just says, I'm listening to you. He's hardly had a chance to say anything in response, yet she's becoming more and more irate. Dr. Dunlop, I'm tired of her. Tired? Get it?
I'm not even. You see, this is, I think, one of the problems that men will have. It's like I'm condemning what he said, and I'm saying that on a philosophical level, I protect everybody's right to free speech. I think.
Once again, Dr. Dunlop interrupts. Listen to the outrageous response to what he said.
I think it's
Everybody's right. You want paedophiles, fascists, you want racists. Do you really want everyone to have freedom of speech?
Everyone's right part of the sentence and ran with it to spout her nonsense. She's taken it in an absolute sense and redefining what Lawrence stated. As soon as he said on a philosophical level, that's abstract. She didn't address the point he made there, and it's an important one. It's the principle or idea that he's referring to. He's not saying he agrees with people who abuse the privilege. He showed a sensible, balanced attitude, saying he condemns what Clarkson said. And he certainly is not saying he agrees with everything every miscreant might say or write. Evidently, his ideas line up with the famous saying, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. She goes on and on and on like a Duracell battery. Let's listen to the final tirade.
What's the option? What's the alternative?
At the moment, they're enshrined in law is actually to be protected against fascists and paedophiles.
So it's enshrined in law. So we just leave it. I found what he said abhorrent. I didn't find it abhorrent. I thought it was clumsy and crap. Ooh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it was dreadful. And I condemned it. And I don't see why I'm getting a lecture for supporting you. Because
you've come out on Twitter saying, you've said there, okay, with where freedom of speech is at the moment, and I'm saying, but it's not good enough. Because actually what this does is emboldens misogynists. Someone like Jeremy Clarkson now, he got his grand tour mentioned on your television. The Sun's probably not sold so many since 1990.
It's probably why he did it.
Well, exactly. And I'm saying that is not acceptable. And the way to stop it is to change the law.
Stop with the law changing.
Knock little men off their platforms like you.
Little man? I thought I was a big man.
Well,
a bear, you said I was.
Because you have a big platform, darling.
All right, darling.
Will I scuttle out of your cave now and leave you in your cave?
It's not a cave. You're more than welcome to stay.
I'm been quite angry. You make me angry, Lawrence.
Well, I'm very sorry. I've literally said nothing.
You didn't have to.
Whew.
Just by sitting in for Nigel Farage, darling.
Yet more insults. She says, not little men off the platforms like you. Calling him a little man is very insulting. Imagine living with somebody like that. Goodness gracious me, what a horrid thought. Evidently she's carrying around a lot of anger. She admits it openly. She said, I'm quite angry. You made me angry, Lawrence. That's what she said. He responded, I've said nothing. She said, he didn't have to. More like Dr. Dunlop didn't give him a chance. And that's the end of my coverage of that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like you to give me your ideas and thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about the video? Do you think Lawrence handled it well, or do you think the doctor put her points across in a good way? What do you think? Do you think the doctor had a good attitude towards Lawrence? Give me your ideas, your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And hit the like button. And hit the like button. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. And you can support me as well. You can support the channel. Support the channel on Patreon. Share it with your family and friends so that they can see the work I'm doing. And I hope you have a lovely time with your family and friends and everybody that you love. Because it's beautiful having you with us, but I've got to go now, so thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video.